What is going on, party people? Happy holidays to you and yours. What is it, Hanukkah? What's the other one?
Christmas.
Hanukkah, Christmas. Yeah.
What's the other one?
Kwanzaa.
Festivus.
Yes.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's right. It begins with the airing of grievances.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy holidays to you and yours. And you're going to have a chance to air your grievances here.
I got a
on
lot of
Sports
problems
Burst.
with you people.
Woo! And 99 problems for sure. All right, we're going to talk about, never too early to talk about some transfers. We'll also take a look and talk about Arsenal's new manager. We'll see with Mikel Arteta. We'll talk about that. And then we'll also.
So cautious about it.
I mean, it's just, Arsenal at this point.
It's exciting.
Man.
Whatever. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it later. And then, of course, we'll talk about the weekend matchups we have here on beIN Sports before the holiday break. Sports Burst starts now. All right, we're back. George D. Metellus alongside Andres Cordero, if you didn't know. I mean, you probably saw the Twitter handles and the names
right there.
Right there on the bottom. But just in case, you got to say it out loud because there might be some people who are,
Watching at the bar?
Yeah, watching at the bar, so they have the drunk goggles on, even at this time.
It's 12 o'clock, eh?
Yeah, but never too early. Hey, it's South Florida. It's never too early to drink. Well, shoot, in some places at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's never too early to drink. All right, let's get into it here because we got some great action here coming up on Sports Burst. Let's start right with some games that we have here on the network. La Liga concludes it's not technically the first half of the season because it's round 18. So the early part of this season. But we begin with Barcelona. We know what happened in the Clásico, the 0-0. They're going up against Alaves at the Camp Nou. And some interesting news here. Ansu Fati might be out of this game with a hip injury or hip bruise. So how does this affect Barcelona ahead of this matchup against Alaves?
Well, I don't know. This is one where, after a couple of really tough matchups against Valencia and Madrid back-to-back, Barcelona at home against Alaves is maybe a chance to, Real Sociedad and Madrid back-to-back.
Right.
You can sort of exercise the demons now because there were stretches in both of those games where they were outplayed by La Real and by Real Madrid. So getting Alaves at home for Barcelona is sort of a chance to just sort of right the ship a little bit. They've won 6 in a row against Alaves. I think they outscored them 18-2 over those 6 games. So it's not an insanely difficult match, obviously, for Barca, and it would have been a good chance to give someone like Ansu Fati some minutes. I'd like to see Carles Aleñá maybe get a few minutes as well. Give some of the kids a chance to play. Obviously, they did recently against Inter in that last Champions League match, but maybe a little La Liga action for some of those young guys now. More than anything, it's a chance for Barcelona to feel good about their football again because they probably deserve to win against Real Sociedad. They didn't get that PK penalty call in their favor at the end, but they probably deserve to lose against Real Madrid because there was a couple of penalties that could have gone Madrid's way in that one as well. So now a chance to just play some good football, give the fans something positive to close out the year on.
Yeah, that match you can see it on beIN Sports 9:50 a.m. Eastern, 6:50 a.m. Pacific here on beIN Sports. Deportivo Alaves at home against Barcelona around 18. All right, let's get to some quick comments before we move on. We got a lot of games to talk about, so we're going to kind of boom right through it, but get some comments here. Let's see. Rich Murray says Alaves is a truly easier match for Barcelona. Hey, look, by the way, everyone on the comments, okay, I didn't sleep that well, so please get your spelling right and get your grammar right, okay? Because my brain is foggy. I don't know if I can get through trying to decipher some of these messages, so try to keep it clear.
It's the internet, man.
Oh, well, okay. Well, yeah, that's true. The internet is crazy, yeah. Andrew Moreno says 5 o'clock somewhere. True. Let's see. Throw through some of the other comments here. Amrender Bati is too cold. I'm still in my blanket. It's 10 a.m. here. Good think. No work today. All right. Let's get some comments going about the game here. Any comments you want to hear about the game of Barcelona and Alaves? Well, we'll wait for the comments. One more. You wanted to add one more?
Yeah, it's a little anticlimactic, I think, for both teams. A tougher matchup for Real Madrid, and we'll get into that one. But you had these massive games just a few days apart with, Barcelona traveling to Anoeta, Real Madrid traveling to Mestalla, 2 big La Liga matches, level on the table before meeting in the Clásico, and first place up for grabs at the Camp Nou. And so it is a little bit of a downer now for Barca to face a team that they should beat. And you hope that it's not one of those trap games where they just don't show up for it. The fact that it's at home, where Barcelona have been mostly brilliant this season. Before the Real Madrid game, they'd won 7 out of 7. They've scored like 30 goals at home, only 11 away from home. And then, a little bit of cold water on that as they got outplayed, I think, in the Clásico for long stretches. So they can feel good about their football again, but I can see how it's a little bit anticlimactic and people aren't super psyched to watch Barcelona against Alaves.
Currently 5:05 in London.
Oh, 5:05 in London. All right, cool. Have
go for a pint.
There, mate.
There you go.
Good day, mate, is Australian. My bad. All right, Anthony Romeo says, I'm hoping to see a great match to make up for the last one, please. I think a lot of Barcelona fans are with you on that one. Okay, let's move on to Real Madrid versus the Athletic Club Andres. This is a matchup of two teams that they have a lot of strong attacking players, but defensively they've been very good this year. Both of them in the top three in terms of goals conceded. So this should be a good one at the Bernabeu. What do you think?
Yeah, in terms of not conceding goals, you mean,
Right.
right? Yeah. So yeah, it is a tougher matchup, obviously, for Real Madrid, but they do get back. They go back to the Santiago Bernabeu for this after a couple of really tough away games. I mentioned they traveled to Mestalla. They drew against Valencia in a really brilliant match. They play extremely well. They only created 4 shots on target and none in the second half against Barcelona. But the general feeling there is that they bossed Barcelona's midfield around. They could feel a lot more positive coming out of that game, I think, even though they're still level at the top of the table and maybe a little bit of an opportunity missed to leapfrog Barca. Athletic are not going to be an easy out for them. And this is a really tough stretch of the season for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Because you look at the last 2 games, obviously Valencia and Barcelona. But the next couple of games, they face Athletic today, Getafe after that. Getafe are a tough out for anybody, and that's an
Top
interesting
4 right
derby.
now.
And obviously Madrid have an incredible record against Getafe, but Getafe are still a really tough team to go up against. Then Valencia in the Super Cup, assuming they advance, they get another tough matchup in the Super Cup after that. Remember, the Super Cup now features 4 teams playing in Saudi Arabia. And when they come back from the Super Cup, they go against Sevilla. So it's like a really difficult stretch of the season for Real Madrid. And the fact that they've done as well as they have so far, not in terms of points necessarily, because they dropped 2 points against Valencia, dropped 2 points against Madrid, but in the way that they're playing, despite all the absences, is really encouraging.
Yeah, it sure is. And remember that, but I know Madrid fans, they're hoping that Hazard and James and Asensio would speed up their recoveries for that gauntlet of matches they got coming up, because they're going to need it. Remember, you can see that game between Real Madrid and Athletic Club Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern here on beIN Sports. That's when our coverage begins. Let's get to some comments here. Bolivar Solorio, Only River. It says Madrid need to keep positive momentum after going after dominating the field against Barcelona. Mohamed Bassam, Real need the win. It'll be tough, but I think they'll do it. So, all right. Some good responses there. Herbert Moscoso is a big Star Wars fan. He says, may the force be with us all. Thank you.
Is that today? Is that movie coming out today?
I guess because of the rise of Skywalker. I don't know.
But today, is today release date?
Yeah, tomorrow.
That would be a yes.
Today.
They started showing stuff yesterday.
Gotcha.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
There's a trailer of it on Hulu, on Disney Plus for The Mandalorian.
I'm still trying to catch up with The Mandalorian. I got to catch that last episode.
It's
Now,
not
that's
bad.
the important topic.
Yeah.
Right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that fob, for example.
Yeah,
because
what's up with
we
that?
could have used. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Big up Herbert Moscoso for that comment there. All right. Let's see. Mohamed Bassam says, "Yo, George, I'll try not to call Zinedine. I'll try not to call Zidane Zodan this time." Thanks, Mohamed. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. All right, another big matchup with some Champions League implications is Betis at home against Atletico de Madrid. Betis 5 points out of a Europa League spot. Atleti 5 points, or enter this match in 5th place. This game you can see on Sunday, 9:55 a.m. Eastern on beIN Sports. What are your thoughts about this one? Because these are two teams that their expectations were a lot higher than what their standings are on the table.
Yeah, well, I mean, Atleti scored 2 goals in the last game, the win over Osasuna at the Wanda Metropolitano, and they scored 2 goals against Lokomotiv Moscow in their last Champions League match. 4 goals in 2 games is an offensive explosion for Simeone's
sure.
men this season, right? They've really struggled to score goals, and when it wasn't Alvaro Morata, it was hard to get goals from anybody else. But it is encouraging that they've scored multi-goals now in back-to-back games. But this is going to be another really tough one for them. Betis struggled early in the season. Obviously, they'd replaced Quique Setien with Rubi, who did a terrific job at Espanyol last season, but really struggled out of the gate at Betis and wasn't at all living up to the expectations of the reason they signed him. That's not the case right now. Right now, Betis are in a really good moment. They've gone 5 in a row, all competitions without losing. They won 4 of those games. We're not going to make too big a deal of the Copa del Rey game they won, their last one, because it was against lower league opposition. But they've got some impressive wins in this 5-game stretch. They beat Valencia and Athletic Club. And so I think Betis are starting to hit their stride. They're finding their best moment. They've got 2 good goal scorers up top now. Borja Iglesias finally got on the board again, scoring his second goal. But Loren Moron has been, terrific, finally breaking out as a striker we expected him to be. So I think the fact that this is Atletico Madrid going to the Benito Villamarin makes this a really enticing matchup. It's probably the best game of the weekend on beIN Sports.
Yeah, and especially if you talk about styles and tactics. Betis, an aggressive attacking team. Atleti more conservative, defensive-minded. So, you know how they always say fights make styles? I think this might be the case here with Betis and Atletico de Madrid. All right, let's talk about Sevilla. They're taking a trip to the islands, not the Caribbean islands. It's Palma de Mallorca, which for some people is a big party town as well. They will need to pick up 3 points, Los Nervionenses, in order to keep pace with the top two. They kind of blew their chances the last couple of weeks, especially with the draws to Barca and Real Madrid in their matches. What about Sevilla? Mallorca, tough place to play. Real Madrid know this. Real Madrid lost on the island. Sevilla, are they going to do the same here against
I want to pick a fight with one of our producers.
Okay.
Because he wrote on the paper here, should be an easy one. Will they choke again? As in, should be an easy one for Sevilla, and will they choke again?
The GIF master, Mike Fuentes.
For starters, that's just downright disrespectful. and beyond that, Mallorca away from home, I actually, it wouldn't be disrespectful, it would be accurate. But Mallorca at home, a little bit different. They have 14 of their 17 points this season have been at the Iberostar Stadium. They beat Real Madrid 1-0 at home this season. So pump the brakes a little bit on the this should be an easy one for Sevilla. We know that Sevilla can be a little bit up and down. I think Sevilla have been one of the most exciting teams to watch this season. Along with Real Sociedad, they've been two of the best stories so far in the campaign. Sevilla in third place. They're only 5 points off the pace, as you mentioned, of the league leaders Barcelona and Real Madrid. So I don't know that I expect Sevilla to be in contention for a league title, but I do expect Sevilla to be in contention for top four. That's what's, to me, amazing about this season in La Liga, is that you got the two Giants level on points at almost the midpoint of the season, and there was nothing to separate them in the Clásico on the scoreboard. And from third place Sevilla to eighth place Valencia, it's only 4 points.
Wow.
And you can see any one of those teams that are in that mix, Getafe, Real Sociedad, Atletico Madrid, Valencia.
Osasuna has a chance.
Any one of those teams could finish in the top four. You know, there's two spots that are spoken for, Barcelona and Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Who's going to take those other two? And you got a lot of teams competing for that, and they're all playing terrific football at the moment.
And an important note for Sevilla as well, Lucas Ocampos back from suspension.
Yeah.
That's huge because he's their leading goal scorer going into that matchup with 5 goals this season. So that could help Sevilla pick up 3 points on the road. All right, let's talk about, I already saw some comments here about the FIFA Club World Cup final. Tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, it'll be Flamengo going up against Liverpool. It's the matchup we all expected. Both teams had a little bit of a struggle in their semifinals, but they managed to get through. You got to win, especially in these knockout tournaments.
That speaks really highly of the Club World Cup, though, right?
Yeah.
That for a change, you see, Monterrey really gave a terrific match to Liverpool. Liverpool getting stoppage time game winner from Bobby Firmino after Monterrey leveled immediately after going down a goal. Mo Salah, came through, and it was huge for Liverpool down the final stretch of that game. And credit to Monterrey. I think they represented CONCACAF terrifically.
Yeah.
Honestly, they gave a really good account of themselves. And then Al Hilal actually took the lead against Flamengo. Flamengo get 2 goals back. There was an unfortunate own goal lead in that one, and Flamengo end up 3-1 winners, but it wasn't easy for them either. So I don't know, it did raise some questions about, can Mengo actually upset Liverpool? And this is what Flamengo were built for, right? This is what they went out and spent money for. This is why 8 of their starters in the Copa Libertadores final against the defending champions River Plate were players signed in 2019. It's why they brought back guys who were playing in European football like Felipe Luis and Rafinha.
Right.
So it's more intriguing, more exciting than most FIFA Club World Cups have been in the past, where it was almost a foregone conclusion that the Champions League winner was just going to, destroy. It's been a long time since the South American teams are really competing in this match, and just watching the way that Monterrey competed against Liverpool gives me hope that Flamengo will make a good game of this.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Flamengo make a good game. Flamengo, I should say, will make a good. Flamengo's the dance. Flamengo is the team. Okay, I got to remember that. But I think the last time South American clubs have struggled in the Club World Cup. Remember, TP Mazembe took down a South American club, I believe it was Internacional, to get to the final one year, and they lost to Samuel Eto'o and Inter, if I remember correctly.
Back in the day,
correct me on the comments here, but
you had teams like Corinthians who would, give.
They beat Chelsea one year in the final.
Trouble.
With Chichi as the manager. Yeah.
Sao Paulo might have as well.
I think so.
Internacional beat Barcelona.
Inter beat Barca.
That's right.
I wiped that one out of my memory.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the comments here. Rich Murray, Flamengo can defeat any team in the world on their best day.
Any team can.
Yeah,
Any team
especially
can
if it's a
beat any
one-off.
other team on their best
All
day.
right,
Especially if it's a one-off.
Save me the Al Pacino any given Sunday
That's what I'm
speech.
saying. No, I think he goes, because they asked me, they go, why is the Flamengo win an upset? I'm like, have you seen what Liverpool's doing? It's a whole season thing. Like, if Liverpool is like meandering around mid-table in England, okay, but not this year.
And then Bavon Gray says, any VAR pool in that final. VAR.
Let's stop it with these VAR puns.
Yeah, no more. Yeah, no more with the VAR puns. Hopefully, VAR will not be a factor in this game, and it'll be won by the players.
Yeah, 1981.
Oh, right. So the last time that Flamengo, well, the only other time that Flamengo won the Copa Libertadores was in 1981 with the great Zico leading them there, and they beat Liverpool.
3-0.
Yeah.
Right. So, by the way, they had
history repeated itself.
They had the most incredible weekend imaginable, Flamengo, this season, because the day after, the Sunday after they won a Saturday Copa Libertadores final without taking the pitch, they also won their first domestic title, the first league title in a decade, or almost a decade. So, could you imagine? You go 10 years without winning anything at all, and then in the span of 2 days, you win the Continental Trophy and the Brasileirão. So the only way you can top that is to beat Liverpool in the Club World Cup final. Which, by the way, something Jurgen Klopp said that I think is it's terrific and it's self-aware, and it kind of tells you the way that South American versus European teams look at this competition. But Klopp said, if Flamengo win this thing, they're going back to Brazil to throw an enormous party. If Liverpool win, we're going to go back and play Leicester City.
Yeah.
And I'd like to change that. And it's true. Like it is sort of one of those things where, like, yeah, you celebrate a little bit that you've won it, but it's for the European team, it feels almost like an extension of the Champions League, whereas for South American teams treat it like the World Championship that it's supposed to be.
And he showed a lot of respect, Jurgen Klopp, to Monterrey after the victory that they had. And a lot of people were trying to goad him into saying that European teams are better and whatever, and he showed a lot of respect to Monterrey in his comments. And so, Jurgen Klopp, you can see why, even if you're not a Liverpool fan, you like the guy because he has that kind of demeanor. Let's take a look at, or listen, watch, read some of the comments here. Flamengo, Mohamed Bassan. Flamengo are too European. Liverpool will win, no problem. River Plate would have been tougher. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Thinking about it.
I'm not feeling that. River Plate were a team where the strikers barely scored goals, right? They were a good side, a very competitive side, and a good counter-attacking team as well. They put a lot of pressure on their opponents. But in Flamengo, you have a team that had 3 of the top 6 scorers in Brazil, including number 1 and number 2. Gabigol was the top scorer in the Libertadores and in the Brasileirão. Bruno Henrique, who I think is like 27 years old and just had 28 years old, and had just an absolute breakout season. So he'd never scored in this kind of volume and was terrific, and in large part because of the support that they got from midfield. They were missing Diego Ribas, the ex-Atleti and Werder Bremen man, for most of the season after he suffered an injury during the group stage of the Copa Libertadores. He comes back at the death and plays a role as well. So I think it's a wonderfully constructed team, and people talk about whether you bought success or you're trying to microwave success. And to an extent, they bought 8 new starters for this, Brasileirão and Libertadores campaign. Right. But it worked. They won both of those titles. And here they are, football. 1 game away from winning the Club World Cup.
Yep. Anthony Romeo says Liverpool needs to be careful with their players. They don't want to lose players.
But that's what I'm talking about. No, it's not about be careful with your players. Win the damn thing.
Yeah, you're going to play in a tournament, go for the trophy. Yeah, you got to win it.
Cushion in the EPL.
Yeah, they for sure.
Granted, they're going to play Leicester, who are like the team, chasing them, but they're chasing them by some distance.
Yeah. Miranda Batti says treble loading for Flamengo. Treble loading for Flamengo.
Yeah, the treble is loading. They're going to win the treble.
Oh, okay. See, I told y'all my mind is foggy today, y'all. Keep the spelling right. Okay.
That's trouble.
Yeah. I thought you said foe like the brothers say foe in Miami Gardens. Like, yo, give me $4 real quick. No, but okay. Let's see what other things. But Von Gray agrees with you. He says, when the big teams win that trophy, it's less celebrated as opposed to a smaller league team. Okay. Mo Sadi, this is going to be a very good match between the Latino style and the British style of football. Okay.
Latino?
I think he means South American. South American,
Well, under a Portuguese coach, I'm not sure if that argument is so valid.
Yeah, that's true. And especially when you consider how many European players came back to Brazil to play for Flamengo. All right, I'm looking forward to that game, the FIFA Club World Cup final. All right, let's talk about some games in the EPL real quickly here. Manchester City versus Leicester City. It's 2nd versus 3rd. But the team you would think is in 2nd place is not in 2nd place. It's Leicester City in 2nd, going up against Manchester City in 3rd. What are your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts are you just tied my brain in a knot. The team that you would think was in 2nd?
Yeah, because Manchester City is in 3rd.
Manchester City's in 2nd,
right?
Not Leicester.
And not Leicester, right? That's why. I told you my brain's foggy today.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
I'm telling you, it's that when you drink Cuban coffee with milk in it does something to you. But anyway, what are your thoughts about that game? That should be interesting from the Etihad.
It's hard for me to focus on City playing against Leicester when City are playing in the Club World Cup against Flamengo. I mean,
Liverpool. Liverpool's
sorry,
in
that's why.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking is because
they have to play like an alternate squad.
Now it's my brain. Now it's my brain that's mush because I was thinking about Guardiola last season said that Leicester this season would be a top 4 contender.
Ooh.
That they were better than their talent was better than their position, and sure enough, Leicester aren't just top 4; they're the best of the rest. They're ahead of City. They're ahead of
United,
virtually everybody
Arsenal,
else.
Chelsea.
So. They've been as much fun to watch as anybody because again they don't need to have the possession, but they can have the possession. It's not like Claudio Ranieri's title-winning side that basically had one way to beat you. Teams maybe overlooked them, underestimated them, and they would kill you on their counterattack. This team has more versatility to their approach, can attack you in a variety of ways. They're a better defensive team with a great center-back partnership as well. So Leicester, a team that can compete against absolutely anybody in the Premier League, and it's probably fortunate for City that this is at the Etihad because we're not too far removed from Pep Guardiola saying after losing to Manchester United in the derby that they weren't in a position to compete against the likes of Juventus and Barcelona and Real Madrid. And then he also named Manchester United to that group of players, so that group of teams. So if you're not in a position to compete against Manchester United, you're not in a position to compete against Leicester either.
Yeah, when you spend all that money, come on, Pep, you got to come better than that. All the money that Manchester City spent, I don't know what his reasoning or motivation behind him saying that, but that was kind of...
I think the beginning of that, the framing of that was the injuries that they'd suffered, right? And so because they'd been missing pieces, he felt like they weren't in a position then to compete. But still, when you are the first billion euro squad, like it took €1 billion to assemble that squad, you should be able to make up for a handful of injuries.
Yeah, no excuses when you spend that much money. I think Bavon Gray's a Manchester City fan because he says Leicester may get 4 in their net just in the first half, and then he follows it up by saying City's a wounded dog right now who will bite really hard. So, okay, there you go. George Olguin says Manchester City will win 3-1.
So City have just lost an assistant coach.
That's right, Mikel Arteta.
Mikel Arteta.
He's the manager of Arsenal now.
Yes.
And will still be mid-table.
Oh, Andre wanted to talk about this.
I do want to talk about this. Because
I like him though, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, how patient are they going to be? I think his contract's for 3.5 seasons.
Yeah, 2023.
So the remainder of this season plus 3 more. That doesn't mean anything. He could be fired halfway through next season and just give him a compensation package and send him on his way. But Mikel Arteta was such an intelligent player and has such great leadership qualities. There's some guys that you watch them play and you say, well, he's going to coach someday, right? Xavi Hernandez was one of those guys where you were watching him play in his prime and you're saying he's going to coach one day. Arteta's the same thing in that regard. Like everyone knew that this guy was going to be a manager eventually, and he's been with Manchester City under Pep Guardiola now since 2016, since Guardiola made the move to the Premiership. So he's been basically
from one of the best.
In one of the best apprenticeships you can have. Already a smart coach. His other main influence was Mauricio Pochettino. He played with Mauricio Pochettino, I believe, in Paris. When he was young, and Pochettino actually professionalized him in some ways and saw him as a leader. And obviously, here's a guy who was Arsenal's captain, who made some big influential behind-the-scenes changes, tweaked some things. Like when he arrived at Arsenal, they didn't have an incentive, like a bonus system for players and coaches. So he felt like there were times when the teams weren't playing for anything. And so he goes and he talks to the leadership at Arsenal and they implement a bonus system. This is while he was a player. Right. And so that attention to detail, that management of other things that are not just what you have to do on the pitch, I think make for a guy who's going to sort of cross his T's and dot his I's when it comes to becoming a manager. He said goodbye. He said no to Newcastle, who came looking for him. He said no to Lyon, who came looking for him. And he said yes to Arsenal. So I think this is going to be, assuming that they're patient with him, a really, really good appointment for the Gunners.
Let's hope for us Gunners fans he is the next Arsene Wenger, but wins a couple European titles in the process.
It is, and at the same time, it's not.
Yeah. We want him to do well like Arsene Wenger, but win some Champions League or Europa League at least. All right. We'd like to remind you we have a weekend chock full of football here on beIN Sports. Today, we will have Eibar Granada, 2:30 p.m. Eastern here on the network. And then tonight, you don't want to miss the locker room that we put together for the State of the Union on Real Madrid. You, me, Gary Bailey, Thomas Rongen, Eric Krakauer is fired.
We did one last night on Barcelona, sort of a progress report on Barca's season so far coming out of the Clásico. We're doing another one tonight. This one's on Real Madrid, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. And then Saturday, triple header, Barça Alaves, Villarreal Getafe. That should be good from the Ceramica. And then PSG Amiens, some Liga action for you there. And on Sunday, we have a good doubleheader of La Liga with Betis against Atleti and Real Madrid versus the Basque Lions at the Bernabeu. All right, that does it for Sports Burst. I'm going to get some water to clear my head from this evaporated Cuban coffee milk, whatever concoction I had. Y'all take care, everyone. And don't forget all these games right here on beIN Sports. Have a good one. Merry holidays.
Merry holidays.
Merry holidays.